Yo, what up? All right. We got another one from Louis C.K. And this is Louis C.K. on Pootie Tang. Louis C.K. on Pootie Tang, who directed it. He directed Pootie Tang, which I didn't find out until years after I actually watched Pootie Tang. And it was a shocker to find out that Louis C.K. directed Pootie Tang. Yeah, so I mean, this is him talking about Pootie Tang, so this should be interesting. You know what I'm saying? Get some behind the scenes on Pootie Tang. All right, here we go.
I wrote and directed Pootie Tang.
Pootie Tang, and about the visual elements of the movie, and he seemed to think that I approached it as a filmmaker, which I did, and he noticed that I hired Willie Courant as the director of photography for Pootie Tang, and Willie Courant was an eminent kind of new wave French, very old director of photography who made films with Serge Gainsbourg, and he made a film with Godard, Masculine Feminine, and worked with a lot of other great filmmakers. And he was an amazing guy to work with. And yeah, no, I took Pootie Tang very seriously as a film. I wanted to be a film director and direct a real movie about a guy who talks in a undiscernible language.
It wasn't, and actually I probably wish it was more of a tough sell, but yeah, it was supposed to be just a weird, quirky movie made for a small amount of money, but then people got excited that it might be a franchisable character, so they put a lot more expectation.
Yeah, I think that's
when we were shooting the movie, it was a great time, but then they started coming and visiting and saying how great they thought it was, and that was really scary. So later down the line, when we were editing, they had a lot of, you know, high number expectations of it that it never could have achieved, but their process of trying to get it there was very painful to the film and me. But but overall, it was a good thing to happen.
They took me off well, I had already shot it, and it was during the editing process. They hated my cut. They fired my editor, got another guy, and let me do one more cut.
I made that movie exactly the way I wanted to. And in cutting it, I found out, first of all, that I had made a flawed movie. Like, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
I didn't make a beautiful movie that Paramount destroyed. I made a flawed movie that didn't really hang together as a feature. I would, with the wisdom I have now, I would have, if I were them, just let it
Smooth.
Be released the way I made it.
Yeah.
And just see what happens. It wasn't a big risk. It was a $3 million movie.
Yeah.
And Chris Rock was in it.
Yeah.
It made its money back the first weekend. It was fine.
Yeah.
I would have just let it go because they wasted an enormous amount of money recut. They recut for almost a year. And they just poured money into it trying to make it better, and it never was going to be any better. It just got worse.
Yeah, Pootie Tang was the character we did on the Chris Rock show. Well, Chris asked me, do you think there's a movie in that guy? And I said, that's a little nutty, but I'll try it. I wanted to make movies, very badly. I remember that point. Right. It was a great moment in my life. I got brought, they summon you. I got flown out to L.A. First class. I have no idea. Well, I smelled something, but they took me to Paramount, those gates. It's like you feel like that you're going to the White House, and I went to John Goldwyn's office. He was Samuel Goldwyn's grandson.
Sure. I was in this big office, and I used to drive by the Paramount lot thinking, I wonder if I could ever get in that gate. And here I'm in John Goldwyn's office, Samuel Goldwyn's grandson, going, this movie is horrible and unreleasable, screaming at me. And I should have been thinking, oh, this is the death of my career. But I was just thinking, wow, gee whiz. This is Hollywood, This guy is, powerful, and he hates me, and, wow.
And so I'm in his office. I'm in the most important office at Paramount. He was running the studio at the time, and I remember I walked in, and he's shaking a little. He was so mad. And he just unloads. Everybody was there that was involved in the movie. He just unloaded on me and said, this movie is unreleasable. You have wasted my money. This is irresponsible. I have a problem with everyone here. And then this guy who was the president of MTV Films, they said, well, John, I don't think you really got the film. How dare you say that to me? He started screaming at company presidents because of my movie.
His voice was shaking. I guess, you never made a movie he hated that deeply. But the thing was that ran down like details. It's like, oh, and then why would a man who shuns every woman and makes a beautiful woman drink milk from a saucer on the floor fall for such an ugly, disgusting pig of a floozy? And he was really angry that Pootie fell for the woman that he did. And I thought, wow, you really paid attention. You really got into it. You know, he wasn't going like, what do we waste our money on? He didn't like make calls during the movie. He watched and he said, no, that's wrong. And so I was very proud of that. And
Pootie Tang would never do that.
No, yeah. I mean, it hurt. It was
painful.
Pootie
better than you knew Pootie.
To go through that and then get kicked out of the editing room and just you feel shudders in your body. Wow, these guys don't mess around. But it's kind of like,
is real.
Yeah, but it would be like if Mike Tyson like kicked your ass. Part of you would be going, oh, cool, it's Mike Tyson. This is what it's like to get my ass kicked by Mike Tyson.
I'll never forget that moment because I feel all I wanted to do was make movies at the time, and that was being destroyed by Samuel Goldwyn's grandson. And I'm sitting there, but a part of me was outside of my body going, you are in the Paramount big office being yelled at by, how fucking cool is this?
Really? You were able to?
Yes, I was able to enjoy it.
Turned it into a positive.
Absolutely, because who gets to have that? It's very rare, beautiful experience to get to have.
I didn't like what eventually came out. I liked what I showed him.
What you showed him, right. And then they
And one
fixed
thing
it.
you know that I never felt too bad about it because he was very passionate about the hate, and he.
To me, the key is like surviving failure is a great. It just turns you. It's a very great experience.
Tell me about it.
Because yeah, look, I went through all of that, Howard, and they killed. The press. I mean, I grew up watching Siskel and Ebert on PBS. When it was that show, and so I always dreamed when I was a kid, someday Roger Ebert and that other dude who's dead are going to look at me through the camera and say something about my movie. And here was Roger Ebert saying, Pootie Tang is so bad, I don't even understand what it is. This isn't even a movie. It's not even complete. Yeah, he was like so hateful. And I'm having the experience of becoming famous for making a movie everyone unanimously thinks is awful, including Robin, who I grew up listening to and loved.
Right. Because none of the pain you experience and stuff like that sticks with you, really, if you're smart about it. It just goes away. And all that's left is that I got to make a movie. Right. And even the worst parts of it were just fascinating. To be on the inside of a movie and go under siege, it was fascinating, because I never thought I'd get that opportunity.
Because Chris was in it, and he was hot.
Right. Yeah.
And, it made its money back, and I get good checks for Pootie Tang. It's doing really well. Yeah, it's a cult hit. People dig it.
Wow.
I can't look at 2 minutes of it, because it just turned into a train wreck. But I think it might have been a good movie if we had done it all one way. It's just that they wanted to backtrack and try to do something else with it. That kind of stuff. But the thing is that going through that, though, Howard, and getting through it, and then a few months later realizing I survived that was really hard, but I feel fine. It doesn't stick to you. But I'm so much smarter, and I think that my show now is totally succeeding because Pootie Tang failed. I swear to God, it wouldn't have happened without it. Chris and I are very good friends.
Oh, good. Okay.
And we've wrote a movie together since then. We've done a lot of things. I think we had one phone call where we were like, Clinton and Gore after the election. Whose fault is this? But no, but there are people that moved away from me, and they're all reading about me in the trades, having my own show now. Well, you learn what beatings life can give you, and then you go, well, I'm not afraid. And I thought when I did this show, I might get the shit kicked out of me again, but I've had the shit kicked out of me.
No, when I was making Pootie Tang, when we were in pre-production, there's this producer on the movie, Cotty Chubb, and he was like my right-hand man. He was doing everything for me. And Chris came up to me and said, that guy's going to take the movie away from you eventually. Oh. And I was like, that's crazy. He's my partner. This guy's got my back. And he goes, no, that guy is going to eventually take this movie away from you and kill you. And it's exactly what happened. Wow. Like, he just knew it. He didn't even know the guy. He saw the two of us talking, and he's like, yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy they picked to watch you and help you, and then in the end, he's going to screw you. Oh. And that guy did pry the movie away from me and fuck me hard in the ass. He's good enough now at the game to go, he just goes, oh, that's that guy who does that. And now I'm that way. Now I can do that. There's a guy with a nervous laugh who will sell you out eventually under pressure.
Yeah.
There's the dude. There's like all kinds of people. There's the chick. There's the woman who takes during a meeting, she takes off her shoes and then sits kind of cat-like and says how much she loves you, and she'll eventually fuck you up the ass with somebody else's. She'll rip off some other guy's dick
and just
put it on
right
the end
in
of
your
a broom
ass
and shove it up your ass. But you learn the players because they're not the thing they're not good at is changing shape or tactics.
They're not shape changers.
No, they're not. They're just
very obvious,
vicious, but they're not. They're you can walk around them once you learn the
greatest.
terrain.
I wish I could find the tape from when I did Pootie Tang. There's a part in the movie where he makes a hit record, but it's silence. Mm-hmm. There's no sound to it. So there's a montage of all these people reacting to it. And it was in the script. It just said a young Asian boy is listening to the nothing, and his father runs in the room and says, "Turn that noise down," like any father would.
Yeah.
And I just wrote Asian just because that's what I saw. I didn't want, but every auditioner, every single one. The audition goes the same as, and then
really?
You hear me or the person auditioning going, it's not supposed to be a stereotype Asian. And then the actor goes, oh, I'm sorry. And then he just does it as the good American that he is. Because none of them were... they were all American-born Asians, but they just assumed, they want me to go, oh!
He wants the wacky.
Like, no, I actually don't want that.
When I was doing Pootie Tang and they fired me off the movie, I thought seriously about taking a beta tape to Canal Street.
It was white.
And just dropping it. Well, and also they added
I thought that was
dumb
kind of
narration. Like, the movie was meant to be kind of awkward and strange. That's the way that I make stuff. And so they took everything that was sort of strange and they explained it with narration.
Oh, that's always
dumb
good. Yeah, that's
narration.
great.
He was just trying to get the movie out, so he stayed with it and kept them involved in it and stuff. But that was the end of my... you can't... that's the way it goes. You sign a thing that says you sign it there. You work at their pleasure,
Right.
You can't complain. Wow. I mean, nobody can be surprised. You work for a movie studio. It's not your own house. They didn't come to your house.
It was so humiliating. It was so hard. The pressure was so much because something was out there that I didn't like. I wouldn't mind if I felt like somebody was fucking up a thing and I don't believe that you shouldn't fire a director.
Right.
When I made that movie, I signed a regular studio contract that says I serve at their pleasure and they can replace me on a day's notice. I knew that. So I can't say they took my movie away. They hired me to work on a movie that I happen to have written and that I care a lot about. But I got thrown off because I wasn't doing what they wanted. That's the way it works. I had a meeting with a big director at the time who told me some things that you can do. One thing he said is when they take the movie away from you, it's inevitable. It happens to almost every movie that the director loses control during the editing. But the thing you can count on is that the studios don't have any better ideas than you do. And they don't really want to edit. They don't enjoy the work. It's your idea. You have the creativity and you like it. They don't like it and they don't know how to do it. So they'll, just to be protective and, territorial, they'll take it away from you. Let them take it. Don't fight it.
I think I'm gonna go watch Pootie Tang today. I'm gonna go watch Pootie Tang today. Oh man. So I guess that was like Louis C.K.'s. That's what got Louis C.K. famous. Pootie Tang. That's what started the his run, I guess you could say. But he did stand up before that. I think I've seen a lot of early stand up before. What was that? 95, I think. I think that came out. Like, I think Louis C.K. has been doing stand up since like the 80s. You can say he knew Chris Rock and stuff from stand up. So, but Pootie Tang was the one that got the eyes on Louis C.K. Not for good reason. I think some people will consider Pootie Tang a classic. I think I'm not sure what some people would say maybe it's not a good movie, but I think there's a lot of people that can, at least some scenes. There's some classic scenes in Pootie Tang, I guess you could say. But yeah, I think I'm going to go watch Pootie Tang today. Louis C.K. said he can't watch 2 minutes of it. Damn. Dang, so he probably hasn't watched the full movie at all. I mean, you know, he did say they changed it a lot. You know, what would Louis C.K.'s version of Pootie Tang, like his original version of Pootie Tang, look like? I guess you could say like the director's cut of Pootie Tang. Would it have been a more serious movie? I doubt it. It'd probably been more crazier. Man, Pootie Tang. Yeah, I'm about to go watch it. I gotta find out where I can stream it for free. Man.